Allergies can turn your home, your happy place, into a sneezing fit factory. But what if there was a way to purify the air in your home to get rid of all those pesky allergens? Today we'll take a deep dive into the world of air purifiers, uncover their benefits, reveal the hidden traps to avoid. Also, don't block the air purifier with furniture or other objects. Well, luckily for you, we did some digging, and the answer is yes. Air purifiers do work. In fact, studies have shown that HEPA air purifiers can reduce the amount of allergens in the air by up to 99%. Some manufacturers make bold claims about their products' capabilities, but fail to back them up with evidence or certification. If you're enjoying this video, show your support by hitting that like button. On the other hand, ozone generators may produce harmful levels of ozone gas, which can damage your lungs and aggravate respiratory conditions. How much do air purifiers actually cost? Well, the good news is that you do need to break the bank to find a quality air purifier. In fact, many purifiers with HEPA filters can be found for under $200. Air purifiers can be a game changer for allergy sufferers, but it's important to choose wisely and use them correctly. Keep breathing easy. Friends, remember to look for purifiers with HEPA filters. Ensure proper air circulation. Consider the size of your room and avoid ionizers and ozone generators. Plus, don't forget to change your filters regularly. By following these tips, you'll be well on your way to breathing cleaner air and feeling better in your own home. Of course, the price will vary depending on the size of the room and the features of the purifier, but it's not necessarily a major investment. However, it's essential to keep in mind the cost of replacing the filters. This can add up over time, so it's important to factor that into your budget when making a purchase. Instead, it's best to stick with tried and tested methods like HEPA filters. Do air purifiers just move allergens around instead of removing them? Well, that's where pre-filters come in handy. Pred filters can trap larger particles like dust and pet hair, preventing them from reaching the HEPA filter and keeping it cleaner for longer. By using a pre-filter, you can ensure that your air purifier continues to function efficiently and effectively over time. Just make sure to clean or replace the pre-filter regularly to avoid any issues. Now let's dive into a topic that many people are unaware of: the dangers of ionizers and ozone generators. Ionizers and ozone generators may seem like a good idea, but they can cause more harm than good. For example, many air purifiers claim to eliminate viruses and bacteria, but very few have been tested and proven to do so. Important to look for purifiers that have been independently certified by reputable organizations, like the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. These certifications ensure that the air purifier has met strict standards for performance and safety. Another potential issue is poor air circulation. If the air purifier doesn't move air effectively throughout the room, it may not be able to capture all the allergens and pollutants in the air. Look for purifiers with built-in fans that circulate the air quickly and evenly throughout the room. Additionally, it's important to consider the size of the room when selecting an air purifier. If you buy a purifier that's too small for your space, it may not be able to effectively clean the air. Most air purifiers come with instructions for determining the appropriate size based on the room's square footage. This is great news for anyone who suffers from seasonal allergies, asthma, or other respiratory problems. But it's not just about the science. Real people have real stories to tell. Take James, for example, a guy in his 30s who struggled with sneezing fits and itchy eyes every time he walked into his house. His furry friend Fido was the culprit behind his misery, but he couldn't imagine life without him. So James decided to invest in a HEPA air purifier for his living room. Within a few days, his symptoms vanished and he could finally enjoy his home without discomfort. Or how about Sarah, a nature lover who spends her free time hiking and camping? She loves the outdoors, but she's also highly sensitive to pollen and other outdoor allergens. When she's home, she relies on her HEPA air purifier to keep her living room air clean and fresh. Thanks to her purifier, she can enjoy her favorite pastime without worrying about an allergic reaction. These stories are not just anecdotes. They represent the countless individuals who have found relief and comfort thanks to air purifiers. It's also important to keep the doors and windows closed while using the air purifier, especially when the air quality outside is poor. Now let's get back to our discussion about air purifiers. Now that we've established that air purifiers do work, it's time to talk about the hidden traps that buyers often fall into when shopping for one. We're not going to sugarcoat it. There are a lot of low-quality air purifiers out there that promise the world, but deliver subpar results. That's why it's important to be aware of the common mistakes and pitfalls to avoid when choosing an air purifier. Otherwise, all your hard work will go to waste. Another thing to consider is how often you should run your air purifier. Well, it depends on a number of factors like the size of the room, the severity of your allergies, and the level of pollution in the air. But generally speaking, it's best to run it continuously, especially when the air quality outside is poor. Also, don't forget to change your air purifier filters regularly, otherwise you could be breathing in recycled dirt. So it's essential to follow the manufacturer's recommendations for filter changes. By following these tips, you can ensure that your air purifier works as effectively as possible and provides you with the relief you need, and give you tips on how to make the most out of these powerful home appliances. So let's start with the basics. How do air purifiers work and what makes them such an appealing option for allergies? Well, they're pretty straightforward. They simply pull in air, pass it through a series of filters and release the now purified air back into the room. But not all air purifiers are made equal. In fact, there are a ton of different types of air purifiers on the market today, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. We'll talk about the most common ones, HEPA air purifiers, because they're known for being super effective at capturing allergens, like pollen, dust, mold, and pet dander. But it's not just about the type of air purifier you choose. It's also about how you use it. For example, to get the most out of your air purifier, make sure to put it in a central location in the room, preferably on the floor, so it can capture pollutants, But here's the real question: do air purifiers actually work? Can they improve your allergies? Or are they just a bunch of expensive hot air? If you enjoyed hearing those stories, give this video a thumbs up. One of the biggest issues in the air purifier industry is misleading advertising. Remember, a clean home is a happy home. It is essential to protect your home against allergens and pollutants, so you and your family can breathe easy. Ionizers, for example, may release particles that irritate your lungs or worsen asthma symptoms. Now let's talk about a question that many people have been itching to ask. Speaking of filters, let's address another common concern. Alright, we've covered a lot of ground today, but let's sum it all up. But the journey doesn't end here. If you want to learn more about improving your home environment, click the link in the description for additional resources and information.